Hey guys and gals, it's me Subidare Rocket, and sorry for advance for the little logo here. It's really hard to find very old logos, okay? So this is the best I got. I could expand it, but it's a bit pixelated. But anyways, today we're continuing our journey in the little Chuck E. Cheese saga, now entering the 80s as we see all the ambitions that led to a big downfall with the company. But first, we gotta start off with this.
Alright, folks, here she comes.
It's a cowgirl who gathers more posses than Jesse James. Harmony, how left?
And you're gonna take us honky-tonkin', ain't that right, Harmony?
That's right, Big C, so hit it, Pasquale.
That's right, it's a brand new animatronic Chuck E. Cheese, alongside some of his brand new animatronic pals. And yeah, once these animatronics entered the picture, they kind of phased out the picture frame ones from the 70s. I'm not sure if this is better or worse than before. Seriously, I keep taking a look at this and compare it to the picture frame one. I mean, I'm guessing it might have more articulation, or maybe it doesn't. It moves left and right and up and down. And I think from what I can gather from before, there's more movement maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I guess you can say it looks more sleeker, but the other one had more of a design, I guess. There's a lot more going on there. I don't know, maybe it's bigger. I don't know, it feels like the same size. So whatever, it's a brand new one. It's just a whole new different one. That's all we can say. We can settle with that, right? Yeah? Okay. I know, maybe, I guess they decided to redesign it so that they can easily distribute it across the different restaurants they have now in the country. So I seriously have no idea why they redesigned it. I mean, maybe it's more advanced. Again, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on that. If you do know, please let me know. But yeah, at this point of the Chuck E. Cheese restaurant saga, they're becoming a lot more popular. A lot more people are coming into the restaurants, and of course, again, as I mentioned before, there are a lot more restaurants now. And since that is happening now, and there are a lot more kids going to the arcade games, and maybe kind of blocking some kids from playing it, so they have to wait. So I guess they have to wait and actually watch those little animatronic shows. So adults are not just going to be watching it while seeing their kids play the arcade game. So I guess maybe that's the reason why they decided to tame it down with Chuck E. Cheese's character. I mean, it took a while though, actually, but still. With this kind of Chuck E. Cheese, I guess it's kind of like the nice grandpa that will tell you stories or something like that. That's the best way to describe this version of Chuck E. Cheese. It still has some of the traits from the 70s one. We'll get to that in a bit, but yeah, you definitely see that they tone it down a bit so that, it's more appealing to the kiddies, It's like that grandpa you really like to see whenever you go back to, your parents' home country or something like that. So yeah, it's much more better for a restaurant made for kids. And one thing that I can actually showcase this time is actually how, the animatronics act and react to, the audience, because we actually have footage from the 80s. Well, not specifically live performances. This is actually a tape from the training. Whenever a certain employee, a brand new employee joins the company, they will give him this tape to practice playing as Chuck E. Cheese. Why do they have to play as Chuck E. Cheese? Because now they actually have these cool little live shows, not just with the animatronics, but also the little mascot character interacting with the animatronics and you. Hey, there he is, good old Chuck E. Cheese, and I do mean old. And yeah, don't mind the little rat that's in the background next to his other friends. It's an old friend of his. Yeah, he decided to come in because he needs a place to stay for the night. Yeah, it's definitely not another Chuck E. Cheese. Also, I noticed in this little training tape that there's a little thing beside the stage, a weird room saying Munch's Magic Madhouse. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know what magic or mad kind of thing it is. Oh man, I can already hear all the crazy stories people are going to be telling on the internet. The songs they sing in this little, I guess, training tape is, first of all, they have a little introductory song. They introduce Chuck E. Cheese and his friends, which is pretty cool. And then they decide to talk about kids. Although the weird thing about it It said all his friends, for some reason, decided to say all the things they hate about kids, which is weird considering you're working at a restaurant that was meant for kids. How did you get this job in the first place, guys? But good thing, Chuck E. Cheese still retains some of his personality traits from the 70s and decides to burn every single one of his friends. He said, "Do not mess with the kids, my friends."
Sometimes they sound like they're speaking an unknown language.
Yeah, about like you when you start that business.
Burn! I prefer my chicken to be fried though. So after what could possibly be the first ever roast session on Earth, they decided to talk about how great it is to be an American. I don't know, I didn't mention this last time. They did kind of do this before in the 70s, but they really like to emphasize, their, American pride, I guess. But those 5 animatronics that don't have any legs isn't the only animatronics that you can see in the restaurant, surprisingly. They have a lot more inside the house of CEC, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty insane because when Nolan Bushnell was creating Chuck E. Cheese, one of the main inspirations was Disneyland, Disney as a whole, essentially. So yeah, they really want to emphasize that, like, yeah, you can have a Disneyland not far from your house. I mean, seriously, like they have this little cabaret section which kids can just chill with this animatronic that's even more expressive than the animatronics that are put on display more prominently, surprisingly. And they have different iteration of it. It's like, I think it's like 3 of it. And then not only that, like the actual 5 character stage, they sometimes replace Helen Henny with other characters. And yeah, keep in mind, they don't have to replace it for one restaurant. They have to replace it for multiple restaurants. And then after that, there's also this little place where you can see this little band, which is a band called the Beagles. Yes, it's a parody of the Beatles, and they actually play the actual songs. Imagine the licensing. And I think they also remodel it sometimes to make it like the Beach Boys, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then not only that, apparently there's an ice cream booth or whatever that has a big, like, another band or whatever. I don't know if it's based on anything, but yeah, it's based around ice cream. So a lot of animatronics you can get to see when you visit Chuck E. Cheese. And yeah, it's probably too much for them to maintain. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's the main reason why, but I'm sure it's one of the contributing factors to how, this little Chuck E. Cheese restaurant became bankrupt in the 80s. But have no fear, Showbiz Pizza Place is here. If you don't know, that's actually a restaurant very similar to Chuck E. Cheese. It had this very similar concept of mixing arcade games with pizza and animatronics. The only difference is the animatronics, I feel like they're a lot more advanced and a lot more articulated. I can definitely see the difference between those animatronics and the 80s ones. They have more than the comparison we have earlier.
I bet that pizza tastes good.
Oh my goodness, what was that commercial? Oh my goodness, I bet that pizza tastes good. Oh my goodness, I'm sold. I'm gonna buy your pizza immediately. I'm gonna buy your large topping pizza right now. I'm gonna go right now. I don't care, I'm gonna find it somewhere. Lena, do we have a time machine? And yeah, they bought Chuck E. Cheese, all their assets, which of course includes the restaurants. And for a time, you get to see Billy Bob, the mascot of Showbiz Pizza Place, at Chuck E. Cheese restaurants, at Chuck E. Cheese himself at Showbiz Pizza Places. Which is very weird, and they decide for some reason to have commercials that are just like exactly the same, just with a different, just a different logo and a different song. It's actually the same song, just replacing the word Showbiz Pizza Place with Chuck E. Cheese and etc. I know, I kind of feel like back in the day it would have been very surreal to have that happen, considering it kind of feels like these two restaurants are like the Pepsi and Coca-Cola of the kids' restaurants, I guess. And yeah, now they're just good friends, like it's always was the case. But it isn't long until Chuck E. Cheese decides to take some of the technologies and advances that the Showbiz Pizza place had, which includes TVs. Yeah, that's right. Of course, if you remember last time, they usually just have these audio tracks that they just put so they can play next to the animatronics and just sync up the mouths to the music. But now it's being played via TV. You can actually see something besides the animatronics. And what they decide to put in these TVs? The faces of the animatronics. Yeah. Okay, not necessarily just that. They also have some little bits of scenes in there that's not just the faces of the animatronics, like this.
Because I was afraid to speak when I was just a lad.
Yeah. Wow, we really advanced in technology. So I'm pretty sure the people behind Showbiz Pizza Place and now Chuck E. Cheese, now known as Showbiz Pizza Time Inc., decided, yeah, it might be a bit odd to just have these two restaurants be the same, yet be also different at the same time. It might be confusing for parents when they are trying to bring their kid to one of these restaurants. Hey Dad, I want to go to the restaurant with the bear. Oh, sure thing, son. I'm pretty sure this is the one with the bear, right? But the other restaurant also has the bear appearing from time to time. So soon enough, in the late 80s to early 90s, they decided to do something called Concept Unification. Sounds so cool and professional. I really like the name. But yeah, basically what this does is that they decide to unify every single restaurant into one main concept, and that main concept being, well, Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, again, as I mentioned before, the people who are behind Showbiz Pizza Place, like the main people, they just bought Chuck E. Cheese. They did not create it. So it's like they're admitting that, yeah, our enemy restaurant is much more better than our, our actual mascot. So let's just throw away our own mascot in favor of the enemy that we bought. So yeah, I don't know. It's so surreal that that's their strategy. I mean, I guess it's understandable. Chuck E. Cheese does look a bit more iconic, I guess, in a way. It's like, similar to Mickey Mouse. So I understand why they decide to go for Chuck E. Cheese instead of their own mascot. I couldn't get over the fact that that's how they decide to do concept unification. I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of like if in a movie, the super villain tried to take over the city and it actually worked, and it turns out it's actually better for the city as a result. Haha, it is I, the Interrupter, and I finally took over the city. Yep, I'm in a city right now. Oh no, what are you gonna do? Well, what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna improve the economy of this city and also make sure everybody has a home to stay in free of charge, and yeah, we're probably gonna think of more eco-friendly way to produce products here as well. Yeah, we're really improving the city. Oh wow, we should have let you take over the city earlier. So yes, as you can tell, we're kind of edging closer and closer to the 90s if you're paying attention. So we're probably gonna stop right here. So let's kind of recap our little Chuck E. Cheese of the 80s. So basically, I do really like what they had in store for this one. I do feel like it's a big improvement over the 70s one. It's like they really try to refine the character for every audience, I guess, like the kids and the adults, which is great. But of course, there will be much more substantial improvements to come. So yeah, this is just the first step. So that's pretty much it for our little look at the 80s Chuck E. Cheese. Of course, we're gonna go into the 90s. There's a lot to go over there, so I'm really excited. So until then, rock it on.